Guys, it's Abby. Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be doing a January book wrap-up. I know it's like a weird angle. I'm experimenting with new angles because I'm just so sick of my room. Not my room in general. I'm not sick of my room. I'm sick of my bookshelf because right next to my bookshelf it's my mom's big black shelf, and it is the most chaos ugliness I've ever seen, and I hate having that in my background. Even though my bookshelf is beautiful, I just can't have my bookshelf in the background because it's right next to that big black shelf with disgusting chaos.
I started piling up books here, so this is where I keep my book stack. So every month when I finish a book, I'm going to put it right there, and then I'll have all of my books there so that whenever I take a camera to film a wrap-up, I have all my books there.
Before I show you all the books that I read, I'm going to go ahead and do my monthly stats. I already filled up all of January's, and then I also have stats in my January spread. For January, I read 19 books. My goal is to read 10, so I almost surpassed that by double. And then I read a total of 6,397 pages this month. My average pages was 340 a month, which is very small books, a lot of small books, but that's fine. And I took an average rating and I'm so shocked. I got a 4.0 average rating for all of like the rates I gave my books. It was an average of 4.0, which is insane. That's insanely good. I got in a slump between every like 3 books I read, so I was kind of shocked to have such a good rating scale and then having a lot of books read. But yeah, out of the books I read this month, 9 of them I own, 10 of them I did not own. I bought 16 books this month, and yeah, that's it for stats. So we're gonna get started with the books. I did have 1 DNF this month, and for this year my goal is to DNF books. If I don't like a book, I'm gonna stop reading it. So I did read this book, and this was on my January TBR. I read like almost all of my January TBR books. I only think there was like 2 books on my January TBR that I never ended up reading. This was one of them because I DNF'd it like halfway through. Just do not like this. I do not like it, and I'm glad I DNF'd it because I don't want to continue reading it. I stopped reading it like on page 140. So I finished this like literally at the brim of 2024 and 2023, and that was a selection by Kara Cass. Oh my goodness, the amount of feelings I went through these books are insane. If I make a whole Pinterest board for a book series, that's insane. So yeah, I gave this book 4.5 stars. So good. I loved it so much. And then obviously the next book I read was The Elite by Kara Cass. I gave this one 4.75 stars. It was so good. Each book got better and better. And then I read The One. This book broke me. I sobbed so much. I legitimately sobbed so much in this book. I gave this obviously a 5-star. It was the first 5-star of the year, and it was literally the 3rd book I read this year. And it was literally mind-blowing. The amount of times I cried, it was insane. Like, I don't think I've ever cried that much. And then the quotes in this book break my heart. Break it 1,000 times if you like. It was only ever yours to break. I'll love you until my very last breath. Every beat of my heart is yours. I don't want to die without you knowing that. I know you see a king here, but let me be clear. This isn't command. This is a request, a plea. I beg you, make me the happiest man alive. Please do me the honor of becoming my wife. I cannot. If I started the year off with a banger of a series, everyone, if you have not read this, read it right now, please. After I finished that series, the Shatter Me series, I read Shatter Me in December of last year, and I gave that 4 stars. It was so good. So I continued the series.
I have a vlog of me reading this. I know this is me editing this like 2 years later so I can upload it and post it on YouTube. What? But anyways, I did have an entire vlog of my full thoughts, reactions, everything. So we are going to go fast because you already know how I feel about these.
So we're going to speed the process so I don't have to take forever. I read Unravel Me. I gave that 4.5 stars. Oh my gosh, it was literally so good. And then Ignite Me, 5 stars. Literally 5 stars. It was my favorite book of the entire series. And then Unite Me, which is a novella of Destroy Me and Fracture Me, gave that 3.75 stars. We got Adam's point of view and Aaron's point of view. Loved it. It was so cute. It was so sweet. So yeah, I thought it was so cool the fact that we would get the same like 5 scenes in a row, but from another character's POV, and it's so cool to see how the conversation went on their end, which I think is so interesting. After I read that, I read Restore Me, gave that 4 stars. It started getting really weird. It was initially meant to be a trilogy, and then she continued the series by writing another 3 extra books, and then she also wrote 5 novellas. After I read Restore Me, which was a 4-star read, I read Find Me, which is Shadow Me and Reveal Me, and that I gave it 3.5 stars. Defy Me, I gave that 4.75 stars. Let me tell you, I don't know how I ended up giving such high ratings to the last 3 books, because the last 3 books were so weird. Define Me got insane. I actually have a whole entire vlog talking about this entire series if you want to see in-depth thoughts. Like, as we are I was walking through the journey. Like, you will see every thought I have. Like, you will see that video and that will explain exactly how I feel about the series. And then I read Imagine Me, which is the last book in the series. I gave that 3.75 stars. It was so weird. It was so weird. Everything went so dark. She shaved her head. The character, like, all the characters, like, they went crazy. It was insane. Like, I could not believe it. And then, believe me, the last novella, I gave it 4.5 stars, so it jumped back up in the 4s, and that was just because it was Warner's POV the whole time. So yeah, and I finished the series, and then I read It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. That was also on my physical TBR, and I finished that, and I gave it a 4.5. Probably put it down to 4.25, just because I never thought about it ever again. I cried. I really did cry. My friend made me listen to Taylor Swift while reading that book, and I just do not like Taylor Swift. So yeah, but I did cry. I thought it was really sad. And then I read Bad Blood. I was trying to get out of a book slump because I went into a big book slump after reading the Shatter Me series. Reading a 9-book series that you love and then not knowing what to read next is literally the most painful thing ever. So I was into a big book slump and I read this book, and I'm kind of happy I read it because now I have it off my chest, but I was also kind of mad because I didn't get to enjoy it. So this was my least favorite book of the entire series when this is supposed to be everyone's favorite book of the entire series. I gave this 3.25 stars, obviously the lowest rated out of all the books I read. My favorite one would probably be the first one or the second one, probably the second one. And there's also a novella in here, and I gave that 3.5, which is 12. That's the name of the novella, and I loved the novella a lot more. The mystery in there was made so much more sense. Let me tell you, the mystery in Bad Blood made no sense. No sense. I was lost the whole way through. So then, to get out of the complete book slump, by now I've basically finished every book off of my physical TBR. Well, my flexible TBR. I still had one more book on my flexible TBR, but I did get to at the end of the month. But the next books I read were in a video of reading 2023's popular releases. So these next 3 books are all popular releases in 2023. So we're gonna get started with those. The first one I read was Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This is really popular. I think one of the most popular reads in 2023, and I can see why. It was a cozy fantasy. It was cute. I actually think about it. Like, believe it or not, I actually think about this book, which is kind of insane because while I was reading it, it was like a fever dream. I didn't love it. I don't know. I thought it was cute. I thought it was sweet. There were quotes where I liked it, but the whole love, the romance is not that great. It was really small romance, so any crumb of romance we had, I loved it. But then when they shared their love to each other, when the love declaration was so weird. I don't know. It was just weird. It was out of place, and I want to read the second book so bad. I went to Barnes to go get it, and it was $30 for one book. I'm not paying $30 for a single book, especially a book in this series. Oh, by the way, I didn't even say my rating for this was 3.5 stars. I thought it was pretty mid. There's nothing special about it. Did I think about it? Yes, I did. And every time I sit in bed and I turn on my little book lamp, I think about this book because this is the first book I've ever read with a book lamp, and it was so cute. And I literally stayed up till 12 a.m. reading that book because I just wanted to finish it. And then right after I finished that, I started Peter Pan. This is the classic Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. I really wanted to get the special edition big hardback illustrated one. That would have been so cool. Also $30. And I see it every time I go to Barnes, but the one time I went to Barnes to buy that book, it wasn't there. But I did find this, and I'm happy I found this because this was only $7, and I got to read the same exact story by the same exact author, word for word the same. I only put 4. Okay, I only tabbed 4 pages of this entire classic. I did not write in classic. I don't write in classics, I'm sorry. But I did rate it. I gave it a 3-star. I know you're not supposed to rate classics, but I rated it because it was just a story. And personally, I liked the story. It was fine. It was cute. It was just nothing really wrong with it, but yeah. Why did I read Peter Pan? Because I wanted to read Never by Jessa Hastings. This is actually the first book I've ever read by Jessa Hastings. No way. Look at those. Oh my gosh, that's insane. That's insanely annotated. She wrote the Magnolia Parks series, and everyone is obsessed with that series. I personally have not read it, and personally, I will not read it. I don't really like toxic relationships, and my least favorite trope is a miscommunication trope, and then second chance. I hate second chance. Gosh, get it out of here. But this book was so cool. It was so cool. This book is really hated on. If you go to the Goodreads ratings, they're so bad. And I've been reading so many reviews about it and about how people are just hating on this book and they're nitpicking every single bad thing about it and then putting it in a review. I don't care. Hate on this book all you want. I give props to Jessa. I gave this 4 stars. It was so good. I loved it. It was so like, I never stopped thinking about it. You know why? It's because I was listening to my January playlist. And you know what was on there? I searched up Peter Pan vibes. I added like 8 different songs. And every time I listen to each of one of those songs, I think about this book. I think about Captain Hook's son, Jameson. I think about Peter Pan, and I hate Peter Pan so much. He's such a slob. I hate him. I love Captain Hook's son. I also like the main character, but she's so annoying because she keeps going back and forth between Hook and Peter. Like, pick one. Then she picks one at the end of the book, and I'm not going to tell you who it is because you need to read the book. But it was so good. It was so good. Regardless who she picked at the end, it remained a 4 stars for me. It was kind of like weird. And let me tell you, at some points, I was like cringed. I was like, what is happening right now? Okay, and then the second last book I read, which was also the last book on my TBR for January, and that was Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. That was my first 6-star read of 2024. The first 6-star read. That solidified the fact that I like Colleen Hoover. Also, she wrote like 20 books, so I have not read 20 books. I've only read It Ends With Us and Regretting You, and Regretting You killed me. Regretting You, I was speechless. I sobbed all day long about this book. I put like a little page here in my bullet journal, like at the very, very end of the book, and I just printed out like 6 or 7 of my favorite pages of the book. I could not even pick one, but like, I don't know, just listen to this quote. Like, it's about a mother and a daughter and their separate romances, and it's so heartbreaking. This is what the daughter is saying about her mom, and it says, "It makes me so sad to know that 2 people she's leaned on for most of her life are the same 2 people who weren't there to catch her when she fell. They're the ones who made her fall in the first place. I can't even imagine all of the invisible bruises she's covered in right now, and I hate that some of them are because of me." I read Regretting You, and I closed that book, and then I started a book, which was The Nightingale. This is The Nightingale by Christian Hannah. Gosh, I loved this book. Gosh. So sad. So sad. Literally ate it up. It was about the World War II in France, and let me tell you, I was listening to a documentary and we were watching one about the Pearl Harbor attacks, and then I just read a book about the Holocaust, and then I literally went to the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. So like, the fact that I've been so like exposed to World War II like history and everything just made this book so much more special. I was listening to my January playlist, and let me tell you, so good. But most of the time I was actually listening to classical music. At night I try to listen to classical music more. I didn't end up giving this a 5-star just because there were some things, it was kind of slow at some points. The romance was really good. There was really nice quotes, but there were some moments that were just like slow. Thank you guys so much for watching. So exciting to finish the first one of 2024, the first reading wrap up, the first stats update, first of everything. I'm so happy that we finished chapter 1 of 2024. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.
It's been 5 minutes, and look how dark my room is. I have to turn on all of these lights because it's so dark in here. Like, the lights is crazy.